3, 2.
Good evening, everyone. With the time being 6 p.m. on Tuesday, May 26th, 2026, I will call this meeting of the Webster School Committee to order and ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, both video and audio, and will be posted on the district website. The first item on the agenda is discussion and approval of the minutes from the May 12th, 2026 meeting. Is there any discussion around those minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Second. There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please call the committee?
Member Caleros?
Yes.
Member Adamopoulos?
Yes.
Member Millet?
Yes.
Member Scarrizo?
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui?
Abstain. Motion passes. And the next item on the agenda is our superintendent's report. Good evening, Mrs. Frangeli.
Good evening. It's nice to see everybody tonight. I'd like to start off with a personnel update. In your packet, you'll have a list. We have no retirements at this time. I am happy to announce a new hire, Melissa Vasquez, paraprofessional at Park Ave Elementary, and we want to welcome her to the Webster Public Schools. We're excited to have her on board. We do have a couple recent resignations. We have Ms. Sierra Uris, a speech assistant at Park Ave. Speech assistant at Park Ave. We forget we don't have mics here. Yes. And Mr. Keith Goodyear, an assistant principal at Park Ave. We wish them the best of luck in their future endeavors. We have no transfers at this time, and as you can see, we have vacancies which are posted out on School Spring, and it is becoming that time of year. As we close out one school year and open another, we'll be very active with our postings and interviewing and looking for positions for the upcoming school year. Any questions on personnel? Okay, moving on to instructional update. I have a couple announcements from Bartlett High School, and I'll take advantage of them because I don't think Ms. Nevis is here for a couple of weeks, so probably not till after summer, into the fall. So the first one is Bartlett High School, Macwick Level 1 graduation. I had the pleasure of going to a graduation for our Bartlett High School Advanced Manufacturing Program, where our students were recently recognized to have a Macwick Level 1 graduation ceremony for earning their certificate through the Mass MEP, Massachusetts Manufacturing Extension Partnerships. That was on Friday, May 15th in the Bartlett High School auditorium. If you're wondering, the Macwick Level 1 credentials validates foundational manufacturing skills, including shop math, blueprint reading, precision measuring, safety, and quality inspection. The certificate also serves as a machine operator pre-apprentice credential and helps prepare students for careers in advanced manufacturing and skilled trades. Matt Barad, Associate Director of the Workforce Development for Mass MEP, presented students with their Macwick Level 1 certificates of attainment and Level 1 challenge coins during the ceremony. The event celebrated the hard work and dedication of students as they completed this important industry-recognized achievements. Families, school administrators, and community members joined to recognize the students' accomplishment and future career readiness. It was really great to see the number of students we have involved in our programming, receiving certification, having that skill that when they decide to leave here, if college is not for them, they can enter into the industry with some certifications. I'll put a couple pictures in your packets of the students receiving the awards. And then I also had the pleasure to attend the START graduation at BB Hub. I want to congratulate Michael Pagan, who graduated from the Blackstone Valley Hub for Workforce Development START Manufacturing Program on Monday, May 18th. The START Manufacturing Program is designed to prepare graduating high school seniors for continuing their education in manufacturing fields or entering immediate employment opportunities within the manufacturing industry. The program combines technical training, career readiness instruction, skill development, and real-world experience, bridging the gap between local manufacturers seeking skilled level entry employees and students interested in pursuing careers. As more graduates enter the workforce directly after high school, the program ensures students are equipped with the practical knowledge, hands-on experience, and industry exposure needed to succeed in today's advanced manufacturing sector, helping them build financial stability and rewarding futures. During the graduation ceremony, students received their certificates of attainment from BB Hub instructor Artie Young. Matt Bedard from also MEP, Mass MEP, presented students with surprise gifts to support their transitioning into the manufacturing workforce. Some of these students have been participating in this all year, and they actually are leaving this program and entering right into the workforce with some jobs that they have filled for them that they've done interns with. Graduates received a toolbox filled with precision measurement tools used throughout the course, including a digital caliper, a micrometer, and a machinist ruler. Students also received a brand new Chromebook and a $1,000 gift card to help jumpstart their career. During the program, Michael completed an internship at Jeffco in Webster and was offered a position within the company. He has chosen at this time to pursue an opportunity with the electric boat in Rhode Island as he begins his career pathway in the manufacturing industry. So we wanted to congratulate Michael. It was nice to see him and his family there. He's off to start his career. He certainly has a goal in mind. He knows what he wants to do, and we wish him the very best. I am now going to turn it over to Dr. Mackay to speak about the seal of bioliteracy.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming. We are pleased to report this year that we have 8 students who are recipients of the Mass State Seal of Biliteracy. This is an extra special year because as we have one student who is being awarded the seal in 2 languages, pretty spectacular. And for the first time since we started doing this in Webster, we have 3 students who have earned the seal with distinction, which means they earned a higher score on the MCAS to start with, and then a higher score, the highest score on the test that tests the other language proficiency. So here are the students. The first is Giovanna Lopes Torres. Giovanna, stand up. And Giovanna has earned distinction, seal of biliteracy in Portuguese, which is her native language, and in Spanish, which she learned later on. And so that is wonderful. Thank you, Giovanna. You did great. We have Ivy Bucasas. And Ivy tested in Tagalog, which is her native language from the Philippines. And Ivy also earned the seal with distinction in Tagalog. Excellent. Thank you, Ivy. And we have Thais, who's not here with us tonight, Thais Tapia Martinez, who earned Spanish with distinction. And Spanish is her native language. And what I don't know is how long ago, whether she was born here or how long ago she came to the US. And so just because Spanish might be, or there's a different native language, if that student didn't attend school in their native language, then they know, like myself, they know spoken language, but not necessarily academic language. And so Thais learned, participated in Spanish classes in the time that she was here, and she performed high enough on the AP Spanish test, and that is what qualified her for the seal of biliteracy along with her MCAS score, so another one with distinction. And then we have Catherine Nascimento. Catherine earned the seal of biliteracy in Portuguese, which is her native language. Not with us tonight is Gabriel Souza Maciel. Now, a little something about Gabriel that is extra special is this is only Gabriel's 2nd year with us in the United States. And Gabriel earned a high enough MCAS score on ELA, and obviously did well in Portuguese. So that's a feat in and of itself within 2 years to get a passing score on MCAS. So congratulations to Gabriel as well. We have Jerlene Vasquez Cintron, who's not here as well, and she earned the seal of biliteracy in Spanish. And last but not least, we have Eric, and I know how to say this name because I learned it a long time ago at Park Avenue, Eric Pivovarczyk. Eric earned the seal in Polish, his native language, or was that the first language that you spoke, Eric?
Second.
His second language, so it's called a heritage language, which is a language spoken at home, not your native language. So congratulations. These students and their families have worked very hard to maintain their native languages or heritage languages, or through study, continued to maintain language while in Webster. The seal will give them advantages in the workforce, possible college credits to start with, and hopefully continued pride in being bilingual. So congratulations to you all.
Just on behalf of the committee, I'd like to congratulate each of you and your families. Maintaining your native language or your heritage language is a challenging thing to do when you're in an environment where it's not spoken every day. So it takes a commitment by all of you to do that. Whether you did that at home and with your family, or you picked up another language here at school, it's through a lot of hard work and determination. So congratulations.
I would like to congratulate all of you. I see how hard you work day in and day out, and you just amazing representation of what a Bartlett High School student is. So thank you for that. Before you leave, I would love to get a picture of all of you and your families, and Dr. Mackay, if possible.
Can we do that? Can we do that now? Because
Yeah, let's do that.
Yep.
you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. Other stuff. So if we want to take a group picture now, let's do that.
Can we do that?
As Mrs. Perangeli stated, you're very welcome to stay for this meeting, but not obligated. It probably will be a long one, so it's up to you. Stay as long as you like.
You all don't have to stay if you don't want to. I'm giving you the opportunity to run.
You never say from school.
Thank you so much for being
Thank you,
here.
Evan.
Thank you, and
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Sarah.
You can't go.
He has to stay a little while longer. He has to stay a little while longer. To continue on under instruction, walkthroughs, our last one happened on May 14th. This was our final walkthrough of the year. In your packet, I added the last message that went out. We will send one more message out from May's. That'll be in addition to that, so you have a copy of that. And then moving on, I just found out on Friday from Ms. Shanahan, our counselor at the high school. She attended a webinar for the Early College Designation Committee, where our application with partner Worcester State University was voted on. I'm excited and thrilled to announce that we've received the required approval for that designation. With this news, Ms. Shanahan will be working with Worcester State on building our program to officially start this fall and move out of the pilot program. So that's going to be a great partnership that we're excited to have at the high school. We currently have 37 rising juniors who are interested in the early college program for next year, as well as 32 rising seniors. Ms. Shanahan will be holding an information night on June 10th for students as well as parents. During this event, our partner in this adventure, Worcester State, will be present. on what Worcester State has to offer for college courses, expectations, and services available. So I'd like to thank Ms. Shanahan for her efforts in applying and working with the colleges and reaching out, and Ms. Nieves for all the hard work and effort that they put into this. Are there any questions on instructional?
No, it's great news about the early college. That's going to give our students a huge advantage when they graduate with college credit.
Absolutely.
And financial savings as well.
Sure thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
great.
Any jump is a big help.
Yeah, great.
Next is in your packet is the third quarter Southern Worcester County Educational Collaborative Report. By law, we're required to submit these to the committee, so this is for your reading pleasure. It's a great rainy day read, so if you're looking to know what's going on in the collaborative, it's right there for you. And then in other updates, I was very excited to attend the junior and senior prom on May 16th. It was a great time out at all. The students were amazing, and the theme was masquerade. And what a great group of kids. It was a wonderful night. The food was great. We thoroughly enjoyed it. So I think they had fun. I didn't hear one complaint all night. And it's wonderful to see that they don't leave the dance floor. They're dancing all night, which is great. I love that. I'd be the one sitting, back in the back row or something. So that's exciting. On May 21st, Wednesday of last week, I attended the CMC Art Show. We have some students there, so it was a great night. Families to come in. They line the hallways similar to what we do at Park Avenue for our students. They line the hallways with art all the way down. Families can walk up and down, see the art, talk to the kids. They have some performances that are going on with music in one of the rooms. And it was a great way to recognize the work that they have done. What I really appreciate about the Central Mass Collaborative is they've worked really hard. Sometimes when students were going out of district, sometimes we heard years ago that it almost felt like a punishment, that it didn't feel truly like they were attending school. And they've worked really hard to make the collaborative feel like a school community. So when you walk in, that's what you see. And it has that feel to it. So I'd like to give a shout out to Sue Farrell, the director, for really making that a school community. And it was great to see the kids really excited to show off the work that they've done. And then on Thursday of last week, I attended the Webster Middle School play. The students did an amazing job taking us on a trip to Neverland. I'd like to thank the staff who helped to make this happen, Ms. Burns and Ms. Foster, and all the volunteers. The kids, the large group of kids that they had in the play, I couldn't get over the numbers and trying to corral all them in and actually putting on a production. They did a fantastic job. They sang beautifully. They acted beautifully. And just kudos to them. It was great to see them in their elements, some of the kids. So it's wonderful that we have all these types of different events that our kids can really bring their personalities out and shine through all the things that we offer, whether it's music, whether it's plays, whether it's sports. It's a wonderful opportunity for our students. And if there are no other comments, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Brantley. Any questions or comments from the committee? No? Well, thanks for those updates. Some great things happening. The next item on our agenda is our business manager report. Good evening, Mrs. Condos.
Good evening. We're going to get started with the Bartlett High School building project. I gave a pretty substantial update at the last meeting, so this one will be a little bit more brief. So while in section A, the abatement and demo work is going on, our key focus areas coming up this summer are really planning for the receipt of the new furniture that's planned to be delivered, assembled over the summer. That's requiring a lot of logistical work because we have a lot of furniture that we need to get surplus, so you will be seeing that coming in front of you at a meeting next month. But as well as planning for how we're going to orchestrate all this, because we have some tight time frames. We have to work around activities that are going to be going on campus, as well as summer school. So we're doing a lot of planning to be ready for those activities, which will keep us busy for about 8 weeks over the summer.
The other thing that's going on is a lot of acceleration or pre-planning of a lot of that, what we're calling hardscape work around the campus, some of which was originally planned for phase 4 that we're trying to get done a little bit earlier over this summer rather than pushing that off and having to try to do it during the school year, which would be a little bit more challenging to try to get, binding done on the asphalt and get all of that done. So we're working very closely with our OPM and the GC on planning activities. We're starting some work in the bus loop right now, which is really kind of pre-planning work and some digging that needs to be done for drains on the roof. And then we will be shifting to when that work happens. As it stands, we're looking for a good portion of it to happen the first couple weeks in August, but the full schedule hasn't been solidified. Those are some of the preliminary plans. The other thing that's ongoing is addressing any punch list items that are coming out of phase 2 completion. Most notably, once you get into a new section, the system gets up and running, we have some balancing that we're still working out with HVAC. So we have some rooms that either get particularly cold or particularly warm, and really trying to work out that balancing of the system based on all of the occupancy settings, the set points that they have in the system to get that worked out. So we continue to work hand in hand with the subcontractor who comes in to help us tune that. Also working with the subcontractor on some remnant AV related topics, either within the auditorium or in the gymnasium and the cafeteria. And then also planned for this summer is we have some work that needs to be done on the Wi-Fi here at Bartlett, and that's planned hopefully between the end of school and start of summer school, but again, we're looking for those dates to be finalized with the third party that we're working with. That's kind of a high level on where we are with the school building project. Are there any questions? Okay, moving on to other updates. I previously reported that we were awarded a Green Community Grant in March. So I'm currently working with the third party that's going to help us convert our lighting at Park Ave to LED lighting. We're beginning conversations around the schedule and getting them onboarded, so more to come. It will happen over the summer and be completed hopefully before the start of the next school year, and hopefully I'll have a schedule by the next meeting. Next thing is I actually attended the 60th annual MASBO Institute last week. This is actually a statewide gathering that's designed to support the professional development of school business managers and to provide dedicated time for networking and consultation with colleagues across the state. It featured a couple keynote speakers. We actually had Commissioner Pedro Martinez there, as well as Inspector General Jeff Shapiro, along with about 40 sessions that they had across 10 different learning blocks that you could select from. I attended a variety of sessions on budgeting, restructuring, SOA advocacy, health insurance cost trends, retirement systems, student activity accounts, nutrition programs, financial reporting, and AI and school operations. While all those sessions are particularly helpful, probably the most valuable part of this session is the networking, especially with business managers in nearby districts. You know, the conversations sort of help you with some real-time benchmarking about how we're doing, what other people are experiencing, some shared problem solvings, how they attack problems, as well as just getting some practical insights if someone's been down a path you haven't been. So this, given that it's in its 60th year, I think highlights that it is a really high-impact professional development opportunity that helps to just strengthen, financial leadership, but helps the district itself stay aligned with statewide best practices, because there's always something that you learn in these sessions that you weren't aware of that either changed or is new that you have to keep up on. Any questions? All right, I wanted to give everyone an update on where we are with the fiscal year 26 budget. We are at this point in the year about 80% spent, which is tracking correctly given the fact that we have a big balloon payment that we pay out in salaries next month. We are projecting a deficit. That deficit that we're projecting is not a big surprise to us. You may recall that during our fiscal year 27 budgeting process, we had been talking about where we started the fiscal year 26 budget relative to our tuitions and what they were already moving up towards. So we're projecting a deficit of $322,000. So as expected, we will be using both the extraordinary, that's actually assuming that we're using the extraordinary circuit breaker, and so we'll be using some additional circuit breaker on top of that. The good news is that it's not as high as we thought it was going to be. We were expecting that we were going to be using close to $890,000 of the circuit breaker 26 money. And in fact, we'll be using less than that. It'll be $656,000 roughly is where we are right now based on our projections. So that leaves us with a higher balance in that circuit breaker account as we go into next year. So that's where the projections look like at this given point in time. So we're in good shape. No big surprises as we have been monitoring the tuition. In fact, the tuition overall is really 1.1 million over budget. So the fact that we're only going to be using 656 is a good sign in terms of the help that we're in and some savings that we've been able to gain from vacancies and other things throughout the budget. Any questions?
It sounds like, primarily tuition and things like that drove up, were higher than what we anticipated.
Tuition and contracted services.
Okay.
Yep.
So primarily related to special education?
Absolutely,
Things?
yep.
And while it would have brought us a little over $1 million over cost-saving measures that we put into place during this year, it saved us about $500,000, is that?
Yeah, we're saving from the, using like 656 to the 1.8, so yeah.
Yeah, it's about $500,000.
Yeah, that's a combination of vacancies and other things that we've either foregone and not spent money on.
Yeah, that's significant.
Absolutely. We've been watching closely, knowing that our tuition was so high, and it's always our goal to preserve as much circuit breaker as we can to carry over that year, because as you know, anything can happen in a given year with tuitions. So when we're picking up $900,000 of tuition in a year out of 2 tuitions, we have to be prepared to cover those. So,
and we keep watching those tuitions because there are times where we end up having a commitment and we liquidate those, right? So there's some that have gone away, some that have come in. So it's extremely fluid. I'll tell you on a day-to-day basis, I can see changes that happen as a result of that, depending on what's going on and who we need to service as a result of that.
and the extraordinary circuit breaker, the extra circuit breaker money coming in is a big help, $333,000. So,
Yeah, we were originally looking at, I think 1.8 was our projection, and we're over 2.1 on the circuit breaker, so that was a big help getting that in there. So we are carrying over a larger balance than we had planned, or that's what we're projecting to do.
What's the process of getting the extra relief?
It's already happened. Once we do our claim.
Do we put a claim in?
yeah.
Yeah.
So we start, usually circuit breaker, you put it in at the end of the year, but for extraordinary, they've switched the process a little bit. So in February, you start putting in your circuit breaker claim then. So they have all the information to review. If you're 25% over your prior year tuition, you will qualify for extraordinary circuit breaker. So we do. And then again, we'll go in June, at the end of June, and we update all the spreadsheets to say, did anybody else leave? Were there added services that we didn't project for? Was there transportation? And that updates our final number going into the next year. So it's like a two-step process for that. And it's done by the special ed office. Maria Santier does that in the special ed department. So it's looking at basically what you're doing is you're collecting, you might have a student who has OTPC speech. So they have to look at the tuition of the student, they look at the services that they do, they could look at if the student has a one-on-one. There are all these services that you can claim that add up, and whatever's over that foundation, that's what qualifies.
And what's the split? Is it similar to the circuit breaker split?
It's the same exact thing, yep.
Good questions.
Through the chair.
Members Gravia?
But, so considering, like next year, we have 20 vacancies. And like, so if by miracle, because we need those positions filled, they get filled, we're gonna
Yeah.
be.
Our goal is to fill the positions and have them. What we would have been doing is using more of the circuit breaker.
Right.
The reason why we're able to save is because of that, but that's not necessarily what we want.
No, right.
We want to fill those positions. I'd rather us not be sitting here saying, we have these savings, because we know that the alternative to that is maybe something's not happening.
Right.
So
So
our goal
next
is
year,
to
we
fill
could
the
be in a
position.
different, hopefully, if we
And
fill the
assuming
position.
they're filled and we didn't have any savings from that, the other conversation we could be having, aside from using more circuit breaker, is putting a freeze on the entire budget, say, come February, right? No more spending across the district on anything. You know, as a way to compensate for that. If we were in that situation. I mean, we did that the previous year.
Yeah, we didn't do that this year, we watched closely, but we knew there were positions that were not being filled, so we weren't putting a freeze on everything that was happening across the district. But, you know, we watch it, and that's why we do the projections, that's why we're looking at it quarterly. I mean, we're actually looking at it more often than that, we present quarterly, but what we anticipate, we're monitoring our percentages as we go through the year to see if we need to put any stopgaps in place.
And through the summer, looking at special ed needs and IEPs, these vacancies might change depending on where students are at.
Yeah,
Right,
we've looked
too.
at a lot of that already, but we know
This is
since
current.
when we were doing budgets in February, staffing has changed, needs have changed already. Students have come in, there are additional things, and that's something that Ms. Pierce here to talk about tonight, because some of the needs shift. So by the time we start the budget, we're starting in October. You know, by the time we're presenting it to the town, it's February, things change. From May, things have already, you know, from town meeting, things have already changed. So yes, we could have more move-ins over the summer, which could impact our staffing even more. Or if we have people leaving, goes in either direction. But, you know, hopefully we can manage with the staff that we have, that's our hope. And sometimes we have to shift and make adjustments, which is something we're going to talk about tonight.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Okay, thank you for the updates. Is there anything else that you wanted to update us on?
That was it for this evening.
All right, well, thank you for your updates. And our next item on the agenda is our principal report. And joining us this evening from Park Avenue Elementary is Ms. Amy Pulapico. Good evening.
Good evening. First, I want to just give you an update on our current end-of-year assessment. So we did just finish MCAS recently. I'm happy to say we had 100% participation, so we were able to get all kids in and tested and through makeups, which is quite a feat, so we're happy to report that. We are also in the middle of our end-of-year DIBELS assessment, which is our early literacy assessment, as well as our iReady for ELA and math. So math will be next week. So we're kind of gathering all of that data and information, celebrate our successes, and also use that data to augment our instructional planning for next year. So we'll be looking at that and kind of making early groups to be able to kick off the year running to make sure we're you know, supporting our students as they need right at the beginning of the year. I also wanted to talk about our blossoming partnership with the library. It's really been growing, especially this year. We've seen a lot of growth in our partnership with the Gladys C. Kelly Library. Working with the children's librarian, Paige St. Lawrence, who is new to the library, has been, well, new to this position. I don't know if she's new, but has really been great. We've had a lot of activities happening. They have done 3 book visits this year to Park Ave. So in November, they brought the Red Crayon, which consists of a read aloud and then a character visit of the book character. In January, they brought Penelope Rex, and just recently in May, they brought Mother Bruce. So it's been really great. They get these costumes on loan, so they come in and do a presentation for our students. I think like the first one we did in November was just kindergarten, and then by May, we were able to get the scheduling down and have 3 of our grades participate. So it's been great. We also just recently did, this past week, a K field trip to the library. They had the whale mobile there, which is this giant inflatable whale, and the kids learn about whales from the outside and then get to go inside and sit inside this giant humpback whale called Nile. So it's a model of an actual whale that they track and have seen in the ocean. And so they learn about the whales and then go inside. So we did a rotating shuttle to bring the kids there, and the students also did other activities within the library as well. And the library also brought us the Ecotarium this past week for grade 4, and the Ecotarium came and did rockets with the grade 4 kids out on the playground. They built their rockets, had a pump up thing, shot them off, and then were able to re-engineer their work and try again. So then the library got that program in through a grant. And so between our librarian, Ms. Kennedy, and Ms. St. Lawrence, they've been really working together nicely. And our grade 3 is taking a walking field trip there this week. So we've really been building that partnership, which has been fantastic. I think a really, by us, an underutilized resource. So we're really happy to have that happening. Some recent events, some you just heard about that we've had with the library. A couple other recent events I wanted to highlight. We did have our kindergarten and grade 2 concerts. We're still utilizing the gym to do that, which is a great setting now that we have with the bleachers. Our PTO held their Me and Someone special dance, which is always a big hit. We had 2 full sessions. It was the same day as prom, so Miss Perangeli came all decked out to our Me and Someone special dance, and then made her way to the prom. We had the fire department in to do their safety presentation with grade 3. Girls on the Run ran their 5K at Polar Park. We've had a couple field trips. I just talked about the whale mobile. Grade 2 does a field trip to Bufhamville Dam. And grade 4 hikes Mount Wachusett. So we've had 4 of our grade 4 classes go already. The other 2 will go this week. And we also had the Harlem Tricksters in on Friday. So they're a motivational basketball, Think Harlem Globetrotters event. So that was fun. That was a whole school event, again, in the gym. So, you know, when we put in those bleachers, we've really made a lot of use of them. Bringing the whole school together, not only for community meetings, but for events like that. So it's been great. I have given you a list of our upcoming events. You know, you're always welcome to stop by for any of them. One that is not on there that I just realized is this Thursday we have grades 1 and 3 have their concerts. Those happen in the morning and afternoon. June 4th, we do have Grads on Parade happening. It's a little more of a high school thing, but since Gina won't be back, as you know, we welcome our grads to walk through our buildings. Meaning won't be back to speak to you before, before it happens. So they'll come through, we'll set up. We usually also, I'll get out into the circle as they do a couple rounds. So if you haven't gotten to come see that event, please do. Grade 4 on June 13th, we think grade 4 will have their concert and recognition ceremony, just a way to congratulate them on their years coming through Park Ave. June 12th is preschool's last day, and they also have graduation/recognition. So our 4-year-olds who will be coming to us for kindergarten, graduate preschool, and we recognize the other students for completing a year of preschool. And then on June 16th, grade 4 will come over to the middle school for their step-up day. They come over, see some classes, and stay for lunch at the middle school on that day. And then on June 22nd is another library partnership. So not realizing we were going to have as many snow days as we did, the library had planned their summer reading kickoff for the 22nd. midday. So we have worked with them to have it at the school instead, so all of the kids will experience it rather than them doing it and nobody being there because all of our kids are in school. So they will bring their kickoff event, which I believe is an Asian acrobat performance. So they will bring that to the kids at the school instead and do the kickoff that way. So another benefit of the partnership, being able to support each other when snow days run over. And that is all I have.
Thank you for your updates. Any questions or comments from the committee for Ms. Pugliafico?
Through the chair.
Member Scrapian?
I think the partnership with the Webster Library is such a great opportunity and an easy opportunity. And it's just going to build that bridge between your students at Park Ave and just accessing the library with their families and on their own time.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's the goal, right? Is to get kids to read. So I think it's phenomenal. And I'm even with the Bartlett relationship they have with the Summer Eats program too. It's just an awesome resource for us to use and free.
Yeah, and the library's done a great job supporting all of our schools across the district. We've had a real great collaboration, bringing in authors. They're always looking for ways to, help engage our kids in reading and the love of reading. So I thank them for their partnership. So we look forward to more.
Yeah. Agreed. Any other questions or comments from the committee? No? All right. Well, thank you. Lots of great things going on over at Park Avenue. The next item on our agenda is an update from our student representative. Ms. Nevis, do you want to start, or should we start with Eric's updates? Good evening, Eric.
Good evening. So a couple positives. Of course, summer is coming very close to us. And of course, us seniors, we're soon to be graduating. So glad that we're all able to finally make it through the school year. Some challenges for us seniors are final exams. Some people didn't quite yet qualify for them, but some of us did. And also, of course, for the underclassmen who also have to take them. For testing, we had final study sync benchmark testing windows from May 18th to May 29th in all ELA courses that use the study sync curriculum. Final CPM benchmark testing window from May 18th to May 29th in all of the math courses that use the CPM curriculum. Also, of course, this week we have senior final exams. From May 22nd, we had periods 3, 4, and 5 for the A day. May 26th, we had periods 3, 4, and 5 for B days. The 27th, we have periods 1 and 2 for A day, and the 28th, we have periods 1 and 2 for B days. Some student engagement. Today, the student council had their ice cream party. The 29th, we will be having a school-wide award ceremony for all sports and other groups in the school. May 2nd, we had International Thespian Society induction. For sports, boys tennis had their senior night. And baseball, they also had their senior night and they won against David Prouty. So glad that they won. Some senior updates, of course, May 22nd to the 28th, seniors are taking their final exams. May 29th, seniors are having their barbecue, where they also turn in their school-issued Chromebooks and chargers. Also the 29th to the 30th, seniors will be having their senior overnight in the gym, and I also think the cafeteria as well. Also on the 30th, we will be having our senior sunrise, which I don't know who's really going to be wanting to be up for 5 in the morning to watch the sunrise. June 1st, seniors will be having their field trip to Brownstone Adventure Park. June 2nd to the 5th, seniors will be having their graduation rehearsals. We will also be having our senior awards night with cap and gown and distribution. June 4th, we will be having our graduation day parade across all the schools. And of course, June 5th, seniors will be having their graduation at Indian Ranch.
Excellent, lots happening. Hard to believe it's almost the end, isn't it?
Well, it's kind of hard to believe, but finally done.
It's really happening there.
I'm excited. No longer have to wake up at 6 in the morning to get ready for school.
Pick your classes wisely next year.
I will have to.
Through the chair.
Member Scariglia?
Do you know where you're going next year?
I'm going to be going to UMass Lowell for engineering and more specifically mechanical engineering. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I just want to say good luck to the seniors and all your outdoor events coming up at the end of the year. I really hope and pray that the weather holds out for you guys.
I hope the weather holds up pretty nice and also hopefully it's not too hot.
No, good vibes there.
I was just watching on the news this morning, they showed a graduation ceremony from someplace, did you see it? And it was downpouring.
They kept going.
Yep.
And they had it in the pouring rain. There were some not so great comments about it, but there were also some very positive comments about it, saying this is what it is, it's a very memorable day, that just made it one more thing. So we're gonna hope for sunshine and 75 with a slight breeze, but that's my request, but we'll take what we get, right?
Of course.
As long as your graduates at the end of the evening will have accomplished our goal, right? But good weather is always helpful as well.
Absolutely.
Eric, I want to thank you. You've been a steady presence for us. Most of these meetings when you didn't have other sporting events, which I know the benefit of having a student athlete on our committee is that we get a really well-rounded perspective of what's going on in the school. The drawback can be sometimes you're overcommitted, right? But you've really done a nice job of sharing all of the information that's going on, both the positives and the areas where students would like to see some difference, or even just things that are real-world struggles for students at Bartlett. So you've done a great job of relaying all of that, and I really have appreciated you being here and giving up your Tuesday evenings to be here with us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Any other comments from the committee?
Through the chair,
Member Miller?
I would like to meet the new student rep.
We are, but not until we're finished talking to Eric. Anything for Eric?
Yes, don't have it be 95 degrees for graduation like last year.
You're gonna fix that, right, Eric? Write that down. No, you've been great, and I know you'll do well at UMass Lowell next year, and can't wait to hear about how everything's going, so thank you for everything. If there's no other comments from the committee, I will turn it over to Ms. Neves for a moment.
So Eric, I want to thank you for stepping in halfway through the year. I know that wasn't easy. You had a lot of commitment, so you definitely worked with all of us, so thank you.
Yeah.
So as Eric steps out, we have a new student rep for next year, and it's Dave Patel. Will be joining us every Tuesday night for school committee.
Hi, my name is Dave Patel. I'm a junior, upcoming senior, and I'm excited for this. I'm really honored to be here and happy. Thank you.
Well, as you heard Eric give his updates tonight, we're really excited to hear what you'll have to bring to the meetings, and you can certainly take a page out of Eric's book and share things from the student perspective, but you can also put your own spin on it and deliver your remarks any way you want to, and you'll settle into the role nicely, I'm sure.
Do you have any advice, Eric?
It's just be confident.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
Be confident, have a little laugh.
That's right.
Good advice. You're a great role model for student reps, so, and for students in general, so thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I would just, through the chair, like to say, don't hesitate to put areas that you hear from students that they think we should hear, that we want to hear all the great things, of course we do. But if there are concerns, don't bring them. Please just bring them. And because then it opens up discussion about how we can help. If there are any issues that students are really having. So don't hesitate to do that.
Can I add something, like some
Please.
issue? I don't have anything written, but I talked at student council meeting last week about some issues that are having with student parking lot, about how some parents are dropping their kids off there in the morning. So like the students are coming to class late. I was almost late a few times because parents took my spot. I had to do a whole circle, wait for all the parents to leave, and like park in my spot, park all the way in the back. But that's an issue that I saw this year with like all the student parking spots being taken by parents who are dropping their kids off instead of here at the student parking spot. So.
Thank you for bringing that up, and for those who are listening, it is a nice reminder that we have very limited parking here because of the building project. And parking, even if you're in your vehicle, you're trying to probably get to work on time as a parent and get your student to school on time. But we should be mindful to not do that at the expense of students not being able to get their vehicle parked so they can get themselves to class on time as well. So thank you for bringing that up.
And if I could add something to that, for those that are watching, we actually had to put signs up in the faculty parking area because we had parents doing the same thing in that area. So we often remind parents, both at the beginning of the school year, on the website, in the superintendent's newsletter, about where the appropriate places are to drop off. And the only way that we're going to really be able to tackle this is that people follow the protocol, right? And sometimes people feel like it's easier to pull into these parking lots, but they do create congestion. They create risk because pulling in there and backing out could potentially cause an accident. And it actually disrupts the flow of traffic much more by these little pit stops that they make. So a plea to parents that may be paying attention. We have designated drop-off spots, and if people could adhere to that, I completely agree with you. And when I've done crosswalk duty out there, I often talk to many of those parents who dismiss the feedback and direction that they're given about where to drop off. So it's a challenging issue to tackle.
You know, the drop-off line, as somebody who drops off both at Bartlett and at the middle school, sometimes can look long, but it moves pretty quickly. And staff are there to try to get people out as quickly as possible and get the kids in the building, so.
And I can't say enough about when you do pull up, be ready, have your kids ready, right? Be ready to jump out, have your bag ready, have things in your hand. You know, just it makes the whole process.
And it's safer. That we've had designated areas for safety. So when we're dropping off in other areas, you know, there might not be somebody there to monitor, you know, the traffic or somebody crossing or not being seen by another car. So just for the safety of everybody and our students' well-being, you know, we would appreciate it if they would work with us.
But I have some signs, and we can put them up over there too. I don't know that it'll stop it, but it might be a little bit of a deterrent. Probably.
Good.
Well, thank you for raising that. Any other questions or comments really from anyone? Well, once again, Eric, thank you, and Dave, welcome. We're looking forward to hearing your updates. The next item on our agenda under old business is special education program and staffing update.
Good evening.
Ms. Sarah?
So today I'm going to be specifically talking about our ABA classrooms over at Park Avenue Elementary School. For several years, we've had 3 ABA classrooms serving students on the autism spectrum, and 2 of them have primarily been delegated for students with autism and severe needs, where the 3rd classroom was for students that are on the spectrum but are ready to transition and spend time in inclusion. So just to give some perspective, each classroom should have no more than 12 students in it, and we're ending this year with 36 students. So that seems to be great. Like, we have enough room for all of our students entering next year. But if history were to repeat itself and we looked at our trending numbers, We started this year with 4 move-ins, and we're ending this year with 4 move-ins. So that's how we received our numbers. So we have some concerns about starting this program with the high numbers, but more importantly, how we service our students, because all the students that are in those programs are not alike, and there are a subset of students that are reading, are ready to go into inclusion and work closer to grade level, where others are significantly behind. And it would be an injustice to combine the third classroom to accommodate numbers when it wouldn't allow for the students to really get what they need. So we're here today to share that information, to let you know that there's 4 streams of students coming in. One is students go through the IEP process, they trial different least restrictive environments, they don't find success, so they may need a higher level of care. The other is move-ins. The third one is we have seen a significant increase of students going through insurance ABA programs, and they have returned to the district, not for kindergarten, but first grade, second grade, third grade, which is really unusual, but that has been a trend for the last several years. And then we also have students stepping up from preschool. So it's not necessarily the substantially separate program, which could be more predictable, but also when they are not finding success in inclusion, they could end up taking the route of needing a more restrictive environment for kindergarten. So we just wanted to share this feedback around our numbers and what they look like entering for next year.
So one of the things that we're looking at is reallocating staff in order to staff this program, to stay within our current staffing numbers, stay within our current budget situation, but, and also considering our class size and ensuring that our class sizes stay reasonable. We do think that it is possible, we do know that it is possible to reallocate some staff to that position. At this time, we're not quite at the place of sharing where that would come from, but we are able to reallocate staff to create space and staffing for that position.
So it's not as simple as just coming back and looking and saying we need an additional position, because one, we don't have room in the building to put an additional position, so that's a barrier for us. So we're looking at our current staff levels across all grade levels. We're looking at locations. We're looking at how we can shift and flow within our building, within our current needs, without coming to the committee and asking for an additional position. We feel like it is in our best interest to really dive into our staffing structure and take a look at everything across the board, and then make it work within before we come back and ask for another position, because we have to look at space and allocations.
So these classrooms, the ABA classrooms serve up to 12 students per classroom. Are they traditional size classrooms at Park Ave? Yes.
2 of them are, and
Yes.
one is on the smaller scale,
Okay. And they're staffed by a regular classroom teacher?
by a special education teacher. Yes.
And depending on the need, they could have more support staff versus less support staff, so depending on the need of the students in the program. So that's something also we take into account.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about what is the staff-student ratio in those rooms?
They vary.
Yeah.
I would say predominantly right around 2 to 1.
2 to 1.
So this was more for informational, where, we know we're getting to a spot where we've seen some changes in dynamics across. We know that it's in our students' best interest to add an additional program class. Without that, we could be putting ourselves in the position when we're not supporting the kids the way we need to support them. We could also be put in a position where we're looking to send kids out when we really don't need to send kids out, which is, not the most cost effective and not always the best, least restrictive for our students. So we're trying to be creative internally. We're looking at everything, and we anticipate being able to make this adjustment in-house but we wanted to let the school committee know that this is something that we're looking at, we're evaluating, and we will likely be making some changes.
Okay, thank you for letting us know. I mean, anytime students can be educated in their home community and have their needs met, it's a win, I think, for everyone.
Great.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda under old business is the superintendent evaluation. So, Mrs. Perangeli, as the superintendent, is in the unique position that most of us are not in that she is evaluated publicly. So that is not, that's not common for most other positions, really, not only within a school district, but really in any industry. So I want to begin by saying that we value you and the work that you do here in Webster. And my intention is not to read every entry in your evaluation. Rather, I'll go through the overall ratings and I'll read a selected comment from each section. Does that sound okay?
Fine.
On the whole, I think this is a very good evaluation. Hope you feel that way as well. So I'll begin with where it says step 1 here, which asks committee members. So this evaluation form was completed by all committee members and compiled by Desiree. This first area, the professional practice goals, 2 members rated you as having made significant progress on your professional practice goals, and 3 rated you as having met those goals. For student learning goals, 2 members rated you as having made significant progress on those goals, and 3 rated you as having met them. And for district improvement goals, 1 member rated you as having made significant progress, and 4 rated you as having met those goals. I'm going to move into, this is sort of the overall ratings for each of the 4 standards. Standard 1 is instructional leadership, and all members rated you as proficient. Standard 2, management and operations, 2 members rated proficient and 3 exemplary. Standard 3 is family and community engagement, 3 members rated proficient and 2 exemplary. And under professional culture, standard 4, 4 members rated the superintendent as proficient and 1 rated her as exemplary. So the overall performance rating is proficient by 3 members and exemplary by 2 members. It's good work.
Thank you.
So some selected evaluator comments. 1 member stated, during this evaluation period, Superintendent Perangeli has demonstrated exemplary overall performance. She has continued to provide strong leadership in navigating and coordinating the Bartlett High School building project. Additionally, during this evaluation cycle, she initiated a comprehensive policy review process and has made significant progress in that effort. Throughout the year, she has maintained a consistent and visible presence at both school and community events, particularly during a time when the community experienced significant loss. I'm going to just move on. The next item over here is your superintendent's performance goals. So under instructional leadership, 1 rated as significant progress and 4 as met. I think this is, oh no, this is similar. Under management and operations, 3 rated as having met and 2 as exceeded. Another goal under management and operations, which was related to the budget, 5 rated as having met. Under the district policies, I'm realizing now I should have outlined these goals, but under district policies, which is related to the reviewing and updating of the school committee policies, 3 rated as having met and 2 as exceeded. And under mission and core values, that's related to the implementation and finalization of the district-wide strategic plan. 2 rated you as having made significant progress and 3 as having met. And the timing of this evaluation as it relates to the strategic goals is interesting because we'll be reviewing that later on this evening. So they are technically done, so I can see where those ratings will come into play like that. And next here under instructional leadership, I'm going to read some selected comments. The ratings were primarily proficient with 1 needs improvement and 3 exemplary. And a comment here is, Mrs. Perangeli continues to provide data-driven analytics pertaining to growth goals throughout the district. This focus has allowed staff and administration goals to strive for, but also to measure progress against. Third-party audits have confirmed that the data-driven model implemented has clearly and appropriately identified areas of strength and weakness in which evaluations should be. The next area under management and operations, which is standard 2, primarily proficient, but actually I'll maybe even say primarily exemplary. There were a lot of exemplary ratings in this area. So strong work under management and operations. One of the comments by one of our members is Superintendent Perangeli is thorough and detailed in completing her fiscal responsibilities while also making great progress in the area of policy reviews. She has met all timelines in leading her team to a successful renovation, overcoming any obstacle with a minimum of disruption. Her knowledge and interpersonal skills, along with the support of town officials, have resulted in balanced budgets throughout this extremely difficult fiscal period. Strong work there. And under standard 3, family and community engagement, really resounding proficient ratings across this whole standard. One of the member comments states that although Superintendent Perangeli faced many unique challenges this year, she was always present with her clear leadership and consistent communication. This ability to communicate with staff, families, town leaders, local departments, and all members of the community truly fostered a collaborative system which proved integral to student success. Standard 4 is professional culture. Primarily proficient ratings here with some exemplary ratings here as well. So another strong area. And one of our members commented, Mrs. Perangeli fosters a positive and collaborative culture by engaging stakeholders in the development of a shared educational vision for the district. She demonstrates a thoughtful and inclusive approach, seeking input from a variety of voices, and works to build alignment around district goals and priorities. Mrs. Perangeli's ability to communicate thoughtfully and maintain respectful relationships contributes positively to the overall culture of the district. Any comments first from the committee? Anything that anyone would like to add related to this evaluation? Mrs. Perangeli, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you very much for your trust and support. And I'd also like to say you're only as good as your team. And I have a really amazing team, which is why a lot of this stuff gets done. It's not me doing the work. They're out in the field doing the work and getting the work done. So I think that's most important that you know. This is due to their efforts, and I thank them. And I will continue to work hard and continue to try and move this district forward in a positive light, working to improve our instructional practices, which I hope you see in our strategic plan. So I look forward to presenting that tonight to you. But I just wanted to say thank you for your support throughout the year. It makes it easy when you come to a committee and you feel like you can be open and very transparent and have that collaboration. So thank you for that, and I want to thank my team also for their efforts during the year. Thank you.
Thank you. And I agree, it certainly is a team effort. Your leadership has made a big difference in this district and in the culture and feeling that you get when you walk into one of our buildings or into central office or really anywhere else. So thank you for your partnership.
Thank you.
And your dedication. It has been a lot of challenging situations that have occurred over this year.
Just a blip on the radar. That's part of it. That's part of it. That's, the world we live in and the job we do.
Yeah.
But when you work with a group of wonderful people and you come in every day You know, I always say, we do what we can, we do what we can control. We can only, you know, fix what we can control. So the other stuff we have to take with a grain of salt and deal with those little moments and don't want to get you down. That's it. We can keep plugging forward.
Through the chair, Member Flores?
As a parent as well in this community, I just wanted to thank you for the amount of support you give the schools as far as just always being present at so many things. I just think it's really important how visible you are to the whole school community, the parents, the students, they all know who you are. Everyone feels like they can, that you're accessible to everyone, and you know, there's so much work to be done, and you do so much after hours, and we know that there's so many different areas, but I think as far as being in like a community, that's one big thing that I think really goes a long way, and I think it's very appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else anyone would like to add here? Well, we are looking forward to another successful year. We appreciate all of your work.
Thank you.
And that of your team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda under new business is the presentation of the strategic plan.
All right. So in your packet, do you have a copy?
Nope.
No?
Want to share it with me? I can put it up.
That's okay. You should all have a copy. We uploaded this into the packet. It was there on Friday, but I've updated a copy. As you can see when you look at it, we had started the process this year. It took us a little longer than we thought it was going to take, but when you're working on something like this, you'd rather take the time to get it done right than to rush through it and not have any meaning behind it. This is a document that we live and breathe all year long, and will continue to live and breathe for the next 2 years. Just to kind of walk you through what our document is, we have the cover page, which is here. And then we created a graphic, which outlines our district logo with our new motto that we're hoping to present, Learn, Grow, Lead. In it, it has our strategic objectives, and down the bottom, our suggested mission. So this is a new sheet that we hope to put up around our schools and be a part of our strategic plan throughout the year. I am going to start off by reading the letter that I put in the packet. It is with great pride that I share the Webster Public Schools on 25 to 28. I put 25 to 28 because it starts July 1st, 2025, and it runs through where we were in this initial year working. Our other plan ended in June of 25, so this will run through 2028. This plan is more than a roadmap. It is a shared commitment to our students, families, our educators, and our future. Over the past year, we have engaged with multiple stakeholders. This new strategic plan represents the best thinking of a deeply committed group of students, teachers, support staff, administrators, families, and community members. As a core strategic planning team, we spent a considerable amount of time envisioning the future of learning in Webster. Together, we affirm that every student deserves our commitment to these priorities. And I will list the priorities here. Creating and sustaining safe and supportive learning environments where every member of the school community feel respected, valued, and secure, where each student can achieve academically and social-emotionally. The second is establishing, supporting, and maintaining shared expectations for inclusive instructional practices and promote student engagement, curiosity, and deep learning. And the third is strengthening collaborative partnerships among and between families, schools, and the community to enhance engagement and improve student outcomes. We also looked at the reality of our current status, which includes chronic underperformance at 2 out of our 3 schools. Despite low accountability ratings, we are proud of the progress we have made. We have strengthened our instructional practices, opened access to college and career pathways, and provided more inclusive support in every school. However, we know there is much more that we need to do. This plan outlines our next chapter, It challenges us to remove barriers, close gaps, and create classrooms where every student is prepared for the future. It also calls on us to lead with purpose, creativity, and a shared sense of responsibility for every child in our care. I invite you to explore this plan and participate in what comes next. When schools and communities work together, our students thrive. Together, we can fulfill the promise we have made to our young people and to one another. As I stated, we started working on this plan in July of last year. We had our kickoff meeting in the middle of July. We started on August 13th. Ms. Millette represented the school committee. She came to many of our meetings throughout the year as we were committed to working on the plan. We did a full morning of envisioning, working with our ILT, bringing in teacher leaders to work on this plan with us. We had worked at all of our full DLTs, which is all of our principals, assistant principals, deans. Ms. Millett joined us for many of those meetings at the administrative offices where we've worked. We've got family feedback, we've got student feedback, we received staff feedback on multiple occasions. We had 2 sessions with staff that we worked across at all schools on the mission and the visioning of Webster Public Schools, which is what has gotten us here today. And we have continued working on this plan through our full DLTs through after the first of the year. In March, when we finished around March, we submitted it into our SOS partners at the state, who also reviewed the plan and gave us some feedback on it. We then took that feedback back. We worked as a DLT to incorporate that feedback, talk about it. It wasn't there weren't really any major feedback on changing our initiatives. They liked our initiatives. It was more about the progress monitoring. How are we going to monitor? How can we change our language and adjust? I don't know, Dr. Mackay, if you want to take it and go through some of overview?
Sure. So as Mrs. Perangeli stated, there were multiple stakeholders involved in this process, and there was like chapters of progress. So each stage ended up the creation of certain steps of the plan. The mission that we're proposing is updating the current mission, vision, values, and theory of action. So our mission that we're proposing is empowering every student to learn with purpose, grow through challenge, and lead with integrity, resulting in the motto, the new motto, learn, grow, lead. The vision that we're proposing is that Webster Public Schools students are innovative problem solvers and lifelong learners, prepared to contribute to their society and persevere in an ever-evolving world. And that was a really important shift for us from the current mission, because we wanted to include and take into account the current realities of our programming and what we're striving toward with the programming that we are building, from little children to middle schoolers to high schoolers to the future. We believe in the following core values. Trusting relationships are built upon open communication and collaboration. We all share responsibility for a safe, inclusive, and respectful learning environment. We overcome challenges and achieve personal growth through hard work and persistence. And positivity inspires commitment and promotes success. Therefore, if we build strong relationships, nurture a culture of respect and belonging, and promote perseverance and optimism, then students will develop the skills, the confidence, and the resilience to thrive as capable learners and contributors in an ever-evolving world. As a result of all of that collaboration and information gathering and input from all the stakeholders, and really this was a process that included the input, in this particular piece, the input of all of the stakeholder groups that were involved. The district is proposing 3 major strategic objectives. One is related to safe and supportive learning environment, where we say create and sustain safe and supportive learning environments where every member of the school community feels respected, valued, and secure, and each student can achieve academic and social emotional success. And underneath each strategic objective are strategic initiatives that you can read. The second strategic objective is related to teaching and learning, where we propose establishing, supporting, and maintaining shared expectations for inclusive instructional practices that promote student engagement, curiosity, and deep learning. Again, with strategic initiatives under that. And the final strategic initiative is family and community engagement, where we'd like to strengthen collaborative partnerships among and between families, schools, and the community to enhance and improve student outcomes. That last piece, to enhance and improve student outcomes, travels across all of the objectives and the initiatives. One of the pieces of feedback that we received from SSOS and from our own observations of the work as it was developing is that we really needed to get more robust in the articulation of how we're measuring success. So these outcomes on the final page were, they're not all of the outcomes, these are selected outcomes because there were more outcomes under each initiative, but these are the ones that are highlighted that show our commitment to improving the experiences of students with positive outcomes for their future, improving the experiences of families that then will lead to positive outcomes for our students. And these were, we worked really hard to make them as measurable as they could be. Some of them are easier to measure or to articulate measurability than others. And so again, this came from all of the work, it was like a real iterative process, with all of the work that was conducted, resulting in what we want to see as outcomes.
Thank you. I think, you know, over my time in this seat, we have really grown at collecting data, diving into data, understanding what we need. We're in the schools, we know the work that needs to happen. We know it. We've just got to put it into practice and get it done across the district. I welcome anybody on the team if they want to add anything about the process or about the strategic planning or about the plan itself that, you know, if you want to comment on. I'm certainly happy to have anybody.
I just wanted to add before we open up for more comments that the final document after the, I call the green pages of the strategic plan, the final document is a much more in-depth version of than what was highlighted in the green copy, the highlighted strategic plan. And so if you have had a chance to review that, and if there are any specific questions about that, we'll happy to answer those as well. But at this point, members of the team that are here can also offer any other insight.
I could just talk to the process, because I felt like through the whole process, all of the schools were really well represented in the building of this plan. Sometimes different schools get sort of left out. A lot of focus falls on kind of the end result of where kids end up in a process. And I think when you look at these goals, you see that it's really a building process from their youngest experiences all the way up to their graduation and beyond as we build those partnerships. So I do feel like it's very representative of all the buildings and really felt like equal voice in the building of it.
If I could just add on to that, you kind of stole some of my words of what I was thinking, but it was extremely comprehensive. It was that 360 view where everyone really did have a voice. And when we think about the different schools, it was even breaking those schools up, right? So people were working in different groups and getting down to looking at, you know, phrases that we were building and did it make sense? And if we just tweak this one word, would it be more acceptable or agreeable for everyone in terms of where we were going and bringing clarity? So it was extremely involved. it was well connected in terms of how one activity would lead to the next outcome or deliverable. But I think the biggest thing was everyone had a voice in this process.
I think of the word collegiality because it was a very collegial process, and you were able to work with different teams across the district, and it was just a really well-rounded process where I felt that everybody had a voice and there was a lot of talking going on by all key stakeholders.
And what else can I add? I mean, everybody added everything. I think also that, our main goal was how we support student outcomes. And all of these goals and initiatives support student outcomes in direct and indirect ways. And I think that, always as a team, keeping that in mind, that the whole purpose of the district improvement plan is to ensure that we are providing all the supports that students need, which includes family, which includes our staff, and how everything comes together in order to promote and support student outcomes.
And as you know, we had a facilitator, so we had Ms. Amy McKinstry, Superintendent of Northbridge Public Schools. She's also a DESE certified facilitator for strategic planning. And I want to thank her for her efforts also reining us in and keeping us on task and helping us navigate through this process, because it's a lot. Sometimes we've been, she's facilitating with maybe 50 teachers at the elementary school, and she's jumping around to buildings. She's trying to catch everybody's voice, and then to come back to a room with 16, and we're working in groups, and we all have different ideas of what should be or what we think, and to really help us dig into our comments and dig into our thoughts to really come up with something meaningful and get to the root of what we're trying to say. So I appreciate her facilitation, and I appreciate everybody's work on this, because it was many hours that were put in to putting this together. And like Dr. Mackay said, the initial plan, I'm a real fan of this. I hope you like it, and I think it takes a nice snap of what we have in our district and consolidates it for families and for people to see. And then we have the back, where it says back pages 1 to 16. That's really the meat of our work. That's for us internally. That is our guide, and that'll help us make this happen. So this is for your review. I wanted to give you time to digest it, to look at it. If you have any thoughts over the next week, before our next 2 weeks before our next committee, please reach out to me. We can get back with the team if we need to quickly. If there's anything that you really don't like or like about it, I'd love to hear it, because your feedback is important. So I don't know if you've had opportunities to look at it or have any initial thoughts.
Any questions or comments from the committee?
Through the chair,
Member Miller?
I've been thinking about this a lot. And I'm going to use the word administrator generally, because I've had many. But I've had 32 years experience living with strategic goals. And the key two things I want everybody to think about are trust and respect. I've lived under it, survived under administration. I shouldn't even say survived, because it was a pleasure, with people who trusted and respected staff. And I'm talking about all staff, from not just classroom staff, all staff. And I've survived, some of us have survived when there wasn't any. And it's not a pleasant experience. It's not a pleasant experience for staff. It's not a pleasant experience for students. when that happens. And I think we lose track, in my experience, I'm talking from 32 years, that some administration loses track of staff as people. People who may be taking care of elderly parents. How to do it. Who may have family of their own that have extreme needs. And they're coming in with that. You know, we talk about student baggage, but there's staff baggage. And when you're not treated with trust, with respect, there is no trust. I don't care what you present to any staff member, if there is no trust and respect, I don't care how much PD you give, it's not going to work. Because they're not going to be open to listen if you're not treating them as a human being, other than somebody to reach your goals. And I've had it happen. I will tell you, the ones that were positive had an administrator who left notes on your desk. And you know how many, every single person that got notes kept them? Kept them and reread them. Little notes. Even, you might want to ask this question next time. And what did we do? Then we'd go and we'd say, well, we're having a hard time with this lesson. Can we go in and watch so-and-so give this lesson? Because that environment of trust and respect was there. And it was returned. Where you would go, I can tell you, I went to administrators and said, I can't do this lesson. I want to do it this way. How do you want to do it? I want to do it this way, and I need this. Okay, go for it. But then, once you get that environment where there is no trust and respect, it takes a lot to get it back, a tremendous amount. And I am telling you from actual experience. And what I had said about you don't know what somebody's bringing in. When my mother was ill, my administrators went to the office and said, Belinda gets a call from a doctor or anybody else, you put it right through her room, and said to me, if you have to leave at any time, you leave, and we've got you covered. Because they knew, and they cared. I didn't make a big deal. And it happened, and I had to do it. You'd be afraid to do that with some people. And I want you to be aware of this because of, I saw it mentioned again, walkthroughs and all these visits. There's two ways your staff's going to look at them. One has a visit. One has an observation to tell me if I'm right or wrong. Or one is a visit, and when you know it's a visit, when you're included. And the students are excited to see you as much as anybody else in that room. Then it's a visit. What are you going to get out of that as an administrator? You're going to get more out of that than you ever got before.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Down to, and I'm going to use a personal example again, I had a former administrator, when my brother passed away, drive at least 2 hours and come to my brother's wake. That is trust and respect. And it's still there. It's still there. The only way you can have all the fancy words you want, and do these goals look great? They do. They look wonderful. How do you know when it's not happening? What's the first thing? First thing is your absentee rate, because it burnt out. They're stressed. Because I don't especially know a teacher who wants to take a day off and come back and do twice the work the next day. So if they're taking days, there's a reason. And it's part of looking at respect and trust. And they're easy words, but it's got to be something that's practiced all the time. And I know Monique knows, I told her about this. When I had an administrator ask me to do something one time, and they said to me, "You don't agree with me, do you?" And I said, "No, I don't have to. You're the principal asking me to do it." Why? Because I knew that they would do anything that they asked me to do, and they did. That's the example. All administration, anybody across from custodians up, you need to set. You need to have that. Or is this strategic goals wonderful? It is. They're very good, but it's not going to happen if you don't create the atmosphere for it to happen. And unfortunately, when you look at that last page and you see the percentages that have to go up, some of them haven't been happening. And that's when you have to say why. Why are they not happening? So I ask you to do this. Is to think of those two words, trust and respect, and as you're looking, and to look at all staff as people. They're not just a custodian, they're not just a teacher. They're a human being. And all human beings want to be trusted and respected. And I only ask that you do that as part of your own goals to have this plan reach some success. I'm done.
Thank you, Madam Miller. Just to add on to that, I couldn't agree more with the trust and respect, and I would add to that feeling seen. And I think that that extends through every one of us here tonight, all of our staff, every person in our building, and equally important would be our students feeling respected and seen. And you know, I think that people get into education to have a positive impact on people's lives. And whether you're a custodian, or you're serving lunch, or you're greeting our students at the bus stop in the morning, or you're teaching a lesson, there's a real desire to positively impact students. And you know, our students have one chance at each grade level. And when June comes, summer comes, and they're on to the next grade level by and large. So it's an awesome responsibility to carry as an educator. That, you know, you only get 180 days with these kids each year. And we do carry, every one of us, whether we're an educator or any other role, we do carry the weight of every other responsibility that we have with us everywhere we go.
Just as adults look up to other adults, they look up to us. Because I've always said the best part of growing up and living here is seeing those former students and have them come up to me. It's the best thing in the world.
I agree. And you know, just going a little further about this responsibility, I believe the ongoing feedback is really essential to a growth mindset, whether that be report cards and test scores for our students, or feedback from walkthroughs, or evaluative feedback on end-of-year formative or summative evaluations. I think is another way that we continue to grow our practice and grow as members of the community and the school community as well.
Absolutely.
And we have a lot of work to do, for sure, with moving the needle here in some of these areas. I believe, from where I sit, a lot of the groundwork has been laid when it comes to collaboration. I had respect written in my notes here too, related to collaboration, respect, and the collection and analysis of data. And one of the questions I had for the group is what some of the challenges you anticipate with implementing some of these initiatives.
I think the challenge is remembering what they actually are, but what I found to be really unique about these specific strategic initiatives is that they're very easy to remember because they're just something that you should be doing in your everyday practice, connecting, providing good instruction, connecting with the community, connecting with families. They all make sense and they're easy to remember. And I think that kind of lends itself to the trust and respect, because it is a part of, in order for you to really buy into a strategic initiative, you have to know what it is. And I think that they're really easy to remember because it's something that you could buy in because you had a big part of creating. And that in itself, to me, defines what trust and respect is having a voice. And I think when you heard from all the colleagues, that was like a common thread, is that everybody had a chance to participate, and even the collaborator who facilitated went to all the buildings, and everybody had a chance to speak. So it's not Webster Public Schools, it's everybody in the community's strategic plan.
And just to add to what Sharon just said, it is a shared responsibility. And I think that consistency across the district is going to be super important in order for any of these goals or initiatives or the benchmarks to, to live throughout the district. And I see that as, as a shared responsibility, all of us, in that consistency, in not only, having it present, seeing the work, not only in paper, but also through every single action, what we model as administrators for our staff and for our buildings, our schools, is equally important, because what we model, we're modeling what we expect others to do. And I think that having that consistency could be a challenge, but also it's not I don't see it as a negative thing, but it's a challenge for our own self-accountability. What are we going to do as a team in order to ensure that we work together as a team to achieve the goal? And how do we support everybody else? Because it is a team. It is a shared responsibility. Definitely.
It is. I agree.
I would add that a challenge that I've given considerable thought to is, and that was even evident in the having to develop the outcomes together, is that we have gotten really good at talking about where we are. We collect an awful lot of data, and where we need to grow is into using that data to do something different because of the situation and the predicament that we find ourselves in. And that's hard. I think that's a hard thing for everyone to feel like they have a piece of it, because it's not just about what the parents are doing or not doing. It's not just about what the students are doing or not doing, but we're part of that equation as well. And it's hard to take a look at ourselves that way. And it's hard to say, perhaps we need to do things a little bit differently. And if we do this because our data says this, and hold ourselves to doing that, we hope to see different outcomes. And that's not the only piece. We need our students to come to school. We need our students to put their phones away. We need our students engaged in class. We need our families to support kids coming to school. We need our families to support us when there are situations that come up. We need our families as experts in the childbearing and what their kids bring to school. We need them as partners. Each one of those pieces can't function alone. And so, two challenges I've talked about now. One is using the inordinate amount of data that we collect and working smarter with that data so that we can actually make changes and create actions that are feasible and actionable so that we see better outcomes for our students, and do better by engaging our students, and do better by engaging our families. And that do better is us and students. It's us and families doing better. So that's you asked about what challenges I envision. Those are some challenges that I envision. We need each other. We need everybody to participate.
The only way this work happens is if we're all owning it.
Right.
We all have to be a part of the work. And a lot of this work, for all of us, requires, you talked about feedback and being open to an environment of where you can have constructive feedback that comes from a school community that feels respected.
Mm-hmm.
That's in our objective 1. That's there. We have to, and we've been working really hard to create that environment where when we go on walk crews, it isn't a gotcha. We're there to learn, to grow, to see what we need. We're not there to say, you didn't do that. We have opened up different ways of people can get feedback. Do you want to have a one-on-one conversation? What did we see? How did we see it? Knowing the kids when we walk into classes and seeing what the kids are doing, they're excited to see you there, but seeing the work that they're doing. When they're engaged in the behaviors and, are not there, we're not seeing that because they're engaged in the work. How do we recreate that environment in another room where they're at, or in another place? To share and to give feedback to your colleagues, not necessarily principal to teacher, colleague to colleague feedback. We have to have a safe environment where that feedback is welcomed, and when we hear it, we think about it and we want to do something. We want to try something new, we want to try something different. That's what I hope. That to me has been a crux for me over the past year or two. It's like, we know the work, and there are not significant changes that we have to make. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of good people here. Some of the changes that we need to make are just tweaks. They're not major changes, but being open to see that and try something different is what we need. And that to me is a challenge. How do I help somebody? How do I work with somebody to help them understand that this is our challenge? This is not just your challenge. And just because I'm giving you feedback doesn't mean that I think you're not doing a great job, or you're not talented, or you're not good, or you don't care. It's about, let's try something different to work collaboratively together. How can we twist that dial just a little bit that gets us over the hump? Because we certainly have the people, we certainly have the information. We just need to do it.
I think back to 30+ years ago, Ms. Millett, when you entered teaching, and students, and what the classroom environment looked like, and what that looks like now, and whether it be using a computer or sending an email or students on social media. Kids have changed at a rate that I don't know that we've ever seen in the history of evolutionary changes for societies. And that has necessitated, I think, everybody to rethink the classroom environment, rethink teaching, rethink their audience, and what that looks like when you're in front of a group of young people. I think of feedback as the gift that you give to someone who you believe has potential for improvement. It's not something that's wasted on an individual that doesn't have the capacity to grow and learn and make adjustments. So, and the same is true for our students, right? And we expect them to be open to that kind of thing as well. So I think a lot of this work has begun in some ways, whether it be foundational or even some of the things that are being put into practice, that collaboration. Certainly, I think we've identified some areas that we anticipate being challenges that will now not be blind spots because we now have named them. So, making sure that we commit them to memory and are consistent about them, use the data and get away from that analysis paralysis and really use that data to drive decisions, and keeping respect at the forefront of our interactions and things like that. So, good.
Through the chair.
Members Gregory?
Sorry, quickly. I'm encouraged as an educator to look at my district's strategic plan to do my own personal and professional and student learning goals. Is that the same of our teachers? They're encouraged to look at the plan and maybe create their professional and student learning goals from our district strategies?
So from our strategic plan, our schools will be creating their school improvement plans. So yes, our hope is that they will be looking at their school improvement plans and the strategic plan and creating those.
Good. And then just secondly, on page 22 of what we were given, I don't know if I'm misunderstanding the X increase. I don't know if we don't have a baseline percentage or if that wasn't.
Is that, my pages aren't numbered, is that the one related to family engagement?
Oh, let me look here, that's the last page, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we talked about that. So we have participated in the Safe and Supportive Grant, and so SAS, we call it SAS. And one of the pieces that we have been doing, which has been quite arduous, is completing the DESE tool, which is the SAS tool, Safe and Supportive Schools tool. It's a series of buckets with a series of questions. I'm talking pages and pages of survey. And the team got to, like, each school worked with their own teams and then came collectively and chose 2 areas that we want to do a deep dive, which is part 2 of utilizing that SAS tool. Again, this is something that's dictated by the state. And one area that we need to further deep dive is leadership and culture. That was decided, and family engagement. So we gave the leadership and culture survey to the schools, to the entire staff, because a small team took the first piece. And it's pages and pages long, and it's not an easy platform to
Get a final percentage of? Or?
No, to encounter, so many teachers were locked, this is a state platform.
Oh, understood.
Many teachers were,
So they couldn't access
spent
it.
time doing it, their answers weren't saved, it was an arduous process. We'll get the data that we need from that side. We made a conscious decision, because we also do the Title I Family Survey, which is happening right now, and so far there are 46 submissions, and I'm making a plug right now for people to get on their computer and do the Title I Family Engagement Survey, because that's how we hear family input. We made a conscious decision to review the questions from the SAS Deep Dive tool and not over-survey families, especially using a tool that isn't hard, that isn't easy to maneuver. And so we picked some of the questions. Well, that survey, the window's supposed to close tomorrow. So that X means we don't yet have it, because we're gathering that information right now.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Any other questions or comments from the committee about this? Mrs. Branchard, do you have something like that?
No, I just wanted to thank everybody for their feedback and their comments. Please take time over the next week and a half. If you have any questions, please reach out. We'll do our best to answer them, and then I will be looking for school committee's approval at the next meeting.
Thank you. It sounds like a lot of time and effort has gone into this process already. Thank you to all of, I know that some of you are representing your group here. I'm sure there's many others out there who contributed to this, so thank you all for your work. The next item on the agenda under new business is the discussion and approval of the new science curriculum for Webster Middle School.
And I'm going to turn it over to our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Ms. Debbie Rivera, to present.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. Yep. Go ahead. So I try to keep up with the spring vibe in here. I'm a visual learner, so it helps me as well. Go ahead. There we go. So I wanted to quickly take us through back the last year and a half, which I can't believe it has been that long since we started this journey. And in terms of the curriculum review for the middle school. And back in the fall of 2024, we began to look into the different curriculum that were available that actually were qualified or high-quality instructional materials based on curate reports and also ed reports as well. So we did a lot of investigation that continue on through the spring of 2025, and we were able to identify two curricula that we wanted to pilot during the spring of 2020, fall and spring 2026. We ended up choosing, as I presented earlier in the year, Open SciEd and Amplify Science. We actually piloted different units for each one of the curriculum. For Amplify Science, we ended up piloting the ecosystem restoration section or unit. For Open SciEd, we did the ecosystem, so we try to pick units that were equivalent and covered the same content. We also piloted plate motions, grade 7 curriculum, and rock cycling and plate tectonics. So again, the two curricula were side by side and covered the same content area. And the final units were matter, energy, and ecosystems, and contact forces, potential energy, and kinetic energy. As a result of that, the pilot began in November of 2025, and they just ended very shortly, probably about a month and a half ago. So this has been, it took quite a while for some of the pilots to be completed. We wanted to make sure that we didn't rush the process, and that teachers and students were exposed to both curriculum equally. And then, as part of that process, we began some of the professional development, not only providing teachers with how the curriculum covered the standards, but also how they could actually teach the specific units. So, you know, I share, I think it should be in your packet, but I share the curriculum review rubric, which is a pretty extensive rubric where we have 3 main domains that we have to assess through the pilot and also through our committee. The standards alignment, classroom application, and culturally responsive and equity domains, which each one of them have different criterias. And as a result of that review, we were able to, we also had a form with a rubric. We completed the rubric. Teachers completed the rubric along with student feedback as well. And as a result of that, some of the highlights that we received from the first curriculum, which was Amplify Science, a lot of it had to do with all 3 domains, but most of the things or feedback that we received related to the materials and connection to the next generation science standards. along with both have anchoring phenomena, which is basically the main idea and how it carries across the unit, but also most importantly, how the curriculum, both of them, support our student population, whether the curriculum has a variety of assessment, multiple means of representation, content, which is all UDL practices, and specific supports for students with disability and English language learners. So these are some of the curriculum highlights that we had for Amplify Science. And for Open SciEd, we have a lot of similar highlights related to, again, the expectations, the standards, and also the resources that were available to support students. And again, the main difference between the two curriculum based on the rubric and the survey that we completed as part of the process was that Open SciEd built on the phenomena really slowly in each one of the lessons per unit, whereas Amplify Science provided a little bit more or multiple means of assessments. So students were able to engage in more hands-on activities. And a lot of our students, they are very kinesthetic. They need to be engaged in the learning and not follow one unit at a time and then connect it all at the end. So as a result of all of the highlights and all the data that we collected, the team decided that Amplify Science would meet our students' needs more than Open SciEd. Now, both curriculum are high-quality instructional material. They both were rated at meeting expectations, not only through the ED reports, but also through curate reports. Both processes, which is outside of this, we're doing our own review, but both processes involve not just professionals or directors or administrators, but it involves educators who are actually teaching the curriculum and are providing the feedback and assessing and also scoring each one of the curriculum. So both, both of them actually met the requirements. And again, what we took into consideration was, and again, the priority, how the curriculum meets and supports our student population in their specific learning needs and supports that they require. Whoops. So, depending on approval or not, what are next steps? We began some of the steps already for this process. We provided some initial training just to expose teachers who were piloting the material and other science teachers to get their feedback as well in terms of what does it mean to launch the curriculum and what do they need in order for them to feel like they're ready to begin teaching the curriculum. So they had a session on May 8th. That was a half day. All teachers received training. They were exposed to the curriculum. One of the things that they found that was a highlight of the curriculum for Amplify Science in particular was the different or the flexibility of the curriculum to still be able to launch or begin the process of teaching it without feeling like you're missing something. So there are different options that the curriculum offer where some of the lessons that may not be essential without sacrificing covering all the curriculum framework and standards that would allow teachers to become more familiar with the curriculum as they start teaching it. Because it is a learning process, not just for the students, but also for the teachers. So they did have 3 different options for launching the curriculum. So they were really excited that that was available, where you don't see that in other curriculum where you have to cover every single thing in order for you to follow the curriculum implementation with fidelity. The plan is, upon approval, is to provide summer planning sessions. This is specifically asked by the teachers And we had budgeted for summer stipend material to have and provide guided planning sessions where teachers would not only have access to the curriculum, but also start planning, use time during the summer if they're available, to start planning with a stipend. And opening days would also involve additional training and follow-up with, again, full-day training in October as well. The other option that we have that we are looking into is providing consultation and coaching. And this is when we have a science teacher or a specialist from the curriculum who comes into the school, observes, and guides teachers through that process, and then they would meet with them afterwards to provide not only ideas on how to implement some of the units, but also support as well. So it is more, we see it more as coaching than consultation. It's more providing additional support. A lot of these supports and professional development opportunities were also requested by teachers, and we want to make sure that we provide them with the tools necessary in order to implement a brand new curriculum for the future. And I don't know if anybody has any questions or there's a lot of, I try to cram a lot in one short presentation, but does anybody have any questions, anything?
Through the chair, you know what questions. I was a science teacher. Do you know I'm assuming it's an online program.
Yes, online and also.
Do you know the reading level?
They have the Lexile levels. Yeah, it should
Because
be.
that was a huge issue with the current one, was the reading level.
Yeah.
And are they, as part of the program, are they providing all the materials for the hands-on
Yes.
labs and so forth?
Yes, they have the kits available, and also the online component not only has some variability in adjusting some of the Lexile. I would have to look into that a little bit more because I don't know to what extent, because you want to continue and the curriculum will keep it at grade level, so you can adjust some of it and differentiate it, but not lower the standard for the students. But there are some scaffolds and accommodations that are built in the online component, along with, they have, I think it's like 30-something languages where students have that accessible to them. If we turn it on, in the case that we have like level 1, level 2 students.
And
which
teachers are going to have all the materials.
we're going to be ordering
experiment.
if upon approval. I'm working right now on a scope and sequence to ensure that.
I mean,
we
the
have-
actual materials.
Yes.
We had boxes and boxes
Yeah, the
and
kits,
boxes
yeah.
of things. But here's my big question.
Yes.
Do you have a budget for the consumables?
Yes, it was included in the budget for FY27. Yes.
'Cause that's a big issue, I hate to say. You know, when you have to do it
Absolutely.
more than one time, and materials are gone,
And maintaining it.
and you're
year after
going
year.
to the store yourself to buy things.
Yeah,
So there is money for the consumable part?
absolutely, yes.
Also.
Yes. So the kits for the curriculum, both actually Open Science and Amplify Science, they sell the kits, and the kits come with all the materials that they will be needing for each one of the units. So it's all included in the quote. So, and as we plan, like if we get a multi-year quote, we add the kits that are needed for the number of students. So we may order multiple kits depending on the total number of students per grade that will be exposed to the curriculum.
Thank you.
Through the chair. Member Caleros?
How much of the class would you say, because they're 90-minute science classes,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
How much of that class are the kids on the computer for a 90-minute science class?
Good question.
It depends on the grade and the classes. They do have different options of launching the curriculum. Like if you have a 45-minute block versus a 90-minute block or a 75-minute block, they have different pathways
So
that
for
you
90
can follow
minutes, about
through.
how much is it? then?
A lot of the curriculum is not all based, it's all activity-based, it's all, action-based.
So with the pilot though, how long were the kids online for, about per
I
class?
don't think they used the online component often because they had all the workbooks, they had all the activities. So a lot of it online, there's only articles that they can read through in order to investigate the different concepts. But a lot of the assignments were done on paper. They were also available online, but they did a lot of it on paper. It's a very different way, and I used to be a science teacher too, but it's a very different way of teaching science. It's all phenomena-based, which means that the students are exposed to different concepts, lesson by lesson, for each one of the units, and they're building and putting it all together. So they're basically discovering what the main idea or the phenomenon of the curriculum is as they go through each one of the lessons. As they go through that process, it's not busy work, it's not like answering questions like it used to be back in the day, definitions and things to that effect. They do get a word wall, and they do get exposed to the terminology, but it's more about the concepts and how the concepts are put together in order for them to figure out what.
And how does that like go into MCAS if they're not having like all that terminology to then have to use on?
They still have the
standardized
terminology.
tests?
They still have the terminology. So the terminology has not been removed. What they have added is more activities where the students are implementing the strategies and the concepts.
Okay. And then was there a student focus group or student exit tickets about how they enjoyed the curriculum?
Yes.
And what
So
was some of that information?
part of the pilot involved looking at the student feedback, and they did have exit tickets for each one of the sessions and units that we pilot. And the overall decision was also based on student feedback as well.
Okay. And then I read a little bit about Amplify, and it's a lot of article-based
Yes,
work.
that's a lot of.
And so when I'm looking at our ESL students and our students who have difficulty reading, and I'm looking at how heavy the reading is in science, which is typically a more of a hands-on type curriculum for kids, they usually enjoy science because of that. I'm wondering, what are we doing to support that piece of it, because it's highly rooted in reading.
Exactly. So a lot of the students, or a lot of the curriculum with the articles, as I mentioned before, there's different pathways and choices as well. And the choices and suggestions for differentiating the articles and differentiating the instruction, including a lesson that may include an article, are included as part of the curriculum, and that's part of the training that our teachers are going to be receiving and that we're going to be identifying as part of the scoping sequence. So the next steps for the curriculum committee has been to work on the scoping sequence, which I already started for each one of the grade levels. And again, we have to identify what are the differentiated. It's already included in the teacher edition or the overview of the lesson as part of the curriculum. And they have different options on how to differentiate or supplement with a different article that is also part of the Amplified Science curriculum.
And are the articles all online?
You can have both. They have the student books, so they can be printed. A lot of the assignments can be edited. So they do have the option of editing, updating information. They will have student books that are included for the units.
Are the assessments written or are the assessments online?
Both.
Okay.
They're available because some students need the actual copy of the handout. So everything that is available online is also available
for printout?
in the student notebooks, yes, both.
May I interject one question related to what you were asking before? Ms. Rivera, you mentioned that this curriculum is available in 30 languages. So for the articles and the assessments, are those able to be translated to a student's native language?
Everything is translated within the platform. We can buy books. hardcovers that are, and I think they only have 2 languages, Portuguese and Spanish, but everything else is available in the platform in the different languages. So there's a little bit of limitation with that. In comparison to OpenScience, they only had it in Spanish and they didn't have the digital component that would translate the content. So that was one of the things that we saw as a positive.
And I just feel the need to add that I appreciate the fact that many of the curriculum programs have different languages, and we have ordered books in Spanish, and if available in other languages, we can get those as well. But it's really important to understand that students are here in our schools to learn English, and we are not a bilingual program. And so many times, the presence of translated materials becomes an overused scaffold that is actually holding kids back. And so, as Ms. Rivera said, appropriate for our levels 1 and 2, depending on how long they've been here, because some kids stay in level 2 for a very long time, and they are not in need of translation. They're in need of something else. They're in need of critical thinking skills, right? So my go-to for those resources are provide like pre-teaching. So where the vocabulary, for instance, the content vocabulary, for instance, in a curriculum like even OpenScience or Amplify is not as, like the words aren't bolded on the side, you know, you don't have your vocabulary on the side, there isn't like a page just for vocab and memorization, that it is more for discovery. But for your L's and perhaps for some of your students with disabilities, you could pre-teach vocabulary, you could pick that out ahead of time and provide that scaffold ahead of time so that they have the
And I guess that's my
content.
concern, is like how much prep does the teacher have to do when we have so many students who are L's and who have disabilities who are going to need so much differentiation? Does this help with that differentiation, or are they going to be doing a lot of work in order to differentiate for them?
So I do have a comment to that. But the other comment about translation, like audible translation, is that the best use of that translation is give it ahead of time. Have the student listen to the article in their native language if it's available, so that tomorrow or in 2 days when they are sitting in the classroom, they already have a little bit of that background. They can translanguage a little bit and participate better in those critical thinking discussions, right? So I just have to say, like, regarding that last comment, that in many of our programs, at the end of each lesson have like an L resource page or a differentiation page, and those are not always gotten to. And so it's our responsibility to make whatever, whether it's science or math or English or whatever subject it is, accessible to all of our students.
Right.
And we're working to support teachers to be able to do that. That has been a big piece of the work that we've been doing. And even that awareness of like, how can I support? How can I scaffold? How can I think about in my planning? How can I think about what students who are L's or students with disabilities might need? And that work has to continue to grow because
it's twofold, like, yes, it has to continue to grow, but two, we don't want to make their job harder if they're using a curriculum that's not like supportive of that either. So I just want to make sure that they amplify, that the teachers are feeling as though that's supportive for those students as well, and that they're able to do that scaffolding that it's going to, in differentiation, that's going to be needed to be done. Did the teachers feel that way with this curriculum?
So realistically, no curriculum is going to provide 100% support.
I don't think they
for
provided,
all
but I'm saying they
students.
feel like they felt good about it, like
Yes.
good.
Yes, so they were the one who made the ultimate decision.
Yeah.
And they did feel that the curriculum provided enough
And I trust the teachers if
differentiation
they're
and
the ones who
strategies.
piloted it.
Yes. And the other side of that, in terms of, the languages, these are specific options that need to be turned on by the teacher. So it's not available openly to any student. It's actually, teachers will have the ability to either turn it on or turn it off for students. In all assessment, the expectation is that all students complete their assignments in English. to the best of their ability, because that's the only way we're going to be able to basically assess where they are in terms of speaking, writing, in terms of the, different components of EL and language development, English language development skill set. But again, currently, right now, as it is just to add a little bit more, for all of our curriculum, any curriculum that we have bought in another language, like Spanish, has been only for L1s, and it has gone through a process of approval. So they will submit the request to me, and then we look at the student, how long have they been here? Is it an L1? If it's an L1, then, we're not gonna purchase additional
No, and I agree with Dr.
supports,
Mackay,
because we want
want to
them.
be immersing them in
Yes.
the English language more than
Absolutely.
anything else, so.
But at the same time, we want to make
Sure.
sure that we
You're
provide
being
teachers with the support that they need in order to plan. And, part of the reason why we're offering the summer stipend opportunity is for teachers, and we have provided already a couple of different trainings, is to help equip the teachers and provide them with the knowledge and information that they need in order to feel ready and prepared to launch and begin a new curriculum. And we know that it's not going to be a perfect process from the beginning. It's a teamwork. It's about support, it's about professional development, but it's also about, having all the tools and all the materials that they need in order to be successful.
And I think there is some excitement around it, because I know on our last walkthroughs, I was at the middle school, and I was in a
Yes.
classroom where they were doing science, and the pilot was done, and so we were looking, and I'm like, what curriculum is that? Because I know it wasn't our STEM scopes. And so the teacher's like, well, I'm using Amplified, I hope that's okay. They had a great lesson, and she was going on, and she was very excited about the use of Amplified. And I'm like, no, it's wonderful, it's great, so thanks. But I have heard excitement about it, I think there's gonna be a learning curve to anything we bring in. But they do seem like they are on board with the selection.
And it probably provides more than what we're providing right now.
Yeah. And through the chair,
Members to right there?
5 to 8 grades? Or
5 through 8. Yes, we're including the entire middle school.
And at that time, they're usually departmentalized or team, math and science, ELA and history, so they have some flexibility with their planning.
Yes, they do have department meetings, which I will be joining in the next couple of weeks in order to work on the scope and sequence together as a team.
Sweet. Let's do it.
I really appreciate the thoughtfulness around the translation, and the expectation that students be learning and testing in English. That helped me better understand how we can both meet kids where they're at and provide them with meaningful opportunities to take in the information that's being provided, and also push them to be able to test in English. So thank you for explaining that.
So we're looking for the approval to adopt the new science curriculum for Webster Middle School.
Through the chair. I guess my question is though, we're voting on a specific program. Is it the Amplify?
Yes.
Okay, because that wasn't on there, it just said science curriculum on there.
Oh, yeah, it's on, I think.
I know
the
which
next
one they
slide.
want, but on the agenda, it didn't say.
Oh, I see. It's in here. I think it's down 1 or 2 slides from where you are.
Yeah.
Sweet. If there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve Amplify Science as our new science curriculum for grades 5 through 8.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please poll the committee?
Member Coleros?
Yes.
Member Ramopoulos?
Yes.
Member Millet?
Yes.
Member Scarriga?
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui?
Yes, motion passes. And once again, thank you not only for explaining this curriculum in such depth this evening, but also for all the work that went into the pilot of two different programs. The next item on the agenda is a review, transfer, signing of warrants, bills, payroll, and vouchers. And we have a transfer request in the amount of $6,490.26 from the Webster Middle School Student Activity Savings Account to the checking account. I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please pull the committee?
Member Cordero?
Yes.
Member Dermopoulos?
Yes.
Member Miller?
Yes.
Member Scarpia?
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui?
Yes, motion passes. Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Desiree, would you please pull the committee?
Member Coleros?
Yes.
Member Ramapoulos?
Yes.
Member Millet?
Yes.
Member Scarpia?
Yes.
Chair Siddiqui?
Yes, meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.